Hey everybody, David here from the PowerCast, live with you every Tuesday night. Erik and I can't wait to speak with you. We have a very special guest, as always, in the house over here. We have Marco Miranda from the Vermont. We have Marco Miranda from the Miranda Team Inspectors. I just completely annihilated that one. Holy moly. Let's have some more scotch.
It's not even a tongue twister. Jeez.
Marco Miranda from the Miranda Team Home Inspection Team. The only person missing here is his right hand wife, his partner in crime. Thank you so much for joining us here. My apologies. We want to thank you so much for joining us. We have a very exciting show to share with you about what it is to be efficient with AC and heating systems. But make sure, first of all, if you have not already, get to our YouTube channel. Go to Team Powerhouse Real Estate. Hit subscribe. This way you can watch us live every week and also watch us in the replay. You can also take us in the car with you and listen. You can follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, Anchor. Help me out, Erik. He's not paying attention. Spotify.
TikTok.
We got TikTok.
Anchor.
Anywhere you want us to be, we're going to be with you every week. And if there's somewhere you'd like us to be that we're not yet, please let us know. And we look forward to being with you every week.
Sorry,
again.
I was dealing with a technical issue.
Technical issue. The microphones are working. All right, good. So Marco Miranda, the Miranda Team Home Inspectors, an amazing company and people to work with. They've got an amazing team of inspectors that really are very knowledgeable. But we're not going to dive into the inspectors of the team yet. But as much as what we're going to talk right now, the most important thing we're going to talk about is efficiency for your home, right? Yes. How can you improve on your house to make it more energy and financially efficient? Everybody asks us all the time, what is the best heating system? What is the best air conditioning system? What is the best way to make our home more energy efficient and financially in our pocket more efficient? So we're going to talk about some things over here that you may or may not have spoken about or heard about or know about. We're going to get into it and dive deep. Please ask us questions. Do not hesitate. We're on Facebook, of course, live, and also Instagram. So if you have questions, even though it's moving around, I'm sure that you're going to be able to see us hopefully nice and straight.
Earthquake.
I'm not sure what's going on behind the scenes over there. All right, so, Marco, your heating and AC system is getting older, and it's becoming costly, right? We have heard of something called geothermal heat. Now, geothermal heat has been out since the early 1900s that we've learned about from you and your guys and your team, guys and girls, that it's a very efficient heating system, air conditioning system, that they had from the 1900s. How does the system work?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man.
It's always a pleasure to be between you two guys, you know.
Yeah. Absolute pleasure.
So geothermal, I mean, it's a pretty awesome system. If somebody spent the money to putting it in, that's awesome. You didn't have to. If you were to put the system in yourself, then it's a big cost. That's where it costs the most, is to put it in.
Yep.
How do they work? So
hold on a second before you start.
Yeah.
Is it gas? Is it oil? Is it electric? How does the system run?
All you need is electricity. That's it.
But the electricity does not create the heat.
No, it just transfers the heat. It transfers the heat or the cooling from underground to your house.
So when you say underground, how does the system invented? How does it work? What does someone see or not see that's working?
So if you were to install it in your house, if you a lawn person, I'm not, but so I wouldn't care much. But if you're a lawn guy, you love your lawn nice and green and stuff, you're gonna lose all that. You're gonna have to do a lot of digging. Your backyard is gonna look like a bomb went off. And they put all these pipes on the ground, and they go back and forth on the ground. Has to be below the frost line.
So about 42 inches?
42 inches. Some places, if you go north, it could be up to 48 inches.
Okay.
But 42 around here would be a good. But usually they go deeper than that. They want to make sure.
So maybe 40.
It has to be minimum below the frost line.
Now, what are these? Oh,
Well, let me ask you a question. So based on what you were talking about with the with the setup or installation of a geothermal system, you said it goes in the backyard, right? Okay.
On the
So
front
if
yard.
you have already a septic system back there, you already have an area with which you can't work with.
Yeah.
because you
can't
have
use
the.
the same pipes.
So-
That would be
No,
good.
but I'm saying,
That wouldn't be
I'm
good.
saying you're talking about, you'd
Right.
have to have a big enough yard that you have the
Yeah.
septic system in there,
Yeah.
plus you have to cordon off another area
Yeah.
where they're gonna dig to put the geothermal
So-
in.
Likely that if a house has septic, it doesn't have geothermal? Is it possible?
There is another way to do it, which would be going straight down. That requires different skills, and yet you can go straight down, just like the septic. If you don't have room to put the leaching fields around the yard, you can actually go with the leaching fields straight down. It's gonna cost more money to build it. It's gonna be designed and everything, which will be a bigger cost. I mean, we can jump right into, it wouldn't be worth it to install it today, you know? If you have it, it's awesome.
Geothermal heat is a great system if you already have it. You're buying a house that has it.
Yeah,
Be
it's great.
excited about it. It's a great system to have.
Yeah, I mean, there's no fuel cost.
And yes, and going back to the fuel, like all you need is electricity, because you're not producing heat, you're not producing cold air, you're just transferring it. You transfer it from the cold water or the hot water, whatever time of the year, and you're taking the heat or the cool and putting it outside, so it's nice and warm inside the house and it's nice and cool inside the house. That's kind of what it looks like.
So what you're saying, and Eric's also saying over here, is that it's not really used because you have to have electricity to start with.
Yes.
But the electricity is not what's heating the house.
No.
It's the actual environment around you, underneath the soil.
Well,
That's
it's the vehicle with which to
it's the
produce.
vehicle,
It's
yes.
bringing,
You need
it's bringing the
electricity,
heat or the cool from the,
So if you don't have
the
the
ground.
electricity to transfer the heat from one location to the other, you're not gonna have heat or cooling.
so if you lose power in the house,
You
you're not
don't
gonna
have-
have any
no,
heat,
you still
or you're
have-
not gonna have any AC.
And also you need a circulating pump to circulate the water that goes on the ground.
okay.
That water needs to be circulating, getting cold. 55 degrees is usually what it is, and it goes back and forth, and it's always that same temperature. So when you talk about 55 degrees, you can get hot, you can get cold from it, and that's where the heat pump comes in, and it can work reverse or forward, and that's what you'll have.
So geothermal heat, you have to have a heat pump outside.
Yes.
And the heat pump that's outside, by the way, is something that if you've never seen one before or don't recognize it, looks like a condenser, correct? But it's not.
Yep.
It's a,
Like your AC unit outside. That's what
right,
it looks like.
the compressor, the condenser outside, it looks just like that. When you look inside it, there is something inside, it looks, it's red in color maybe, or orange, or something along those
Yeah,
lines.
There's a lot of different ones that, they look totally different. Some
And
of them you can't even see inside the.
And it spins right for heat and left for
You have a
air.
big fan on the top that runs and blows the air out,
Got it. And with this system, is there a certain temperature that if it goes, I don't know, to cold, is it just as efficient as anything else, or how does that
All
work?
depends on how efficient you have the system. Usually they don't need emergency heat, so
Okay.
they just run on.
So when it's 10 degrees outside,
It's fine.
okay,
They still run.
okay,
If you have an older system that needs help, then you have to have emergency heat. And emergency heat, it's kind of like a hair dryer that you have a electric coil inside the air handler, and then when the air goes through it, it will help. Most of the heat pumps that were older, they needed help. Once you get down to 32, that's too cold. It's not going to work. And they would put a coil there. So if you go to your thermostat and you see emergency heat, you're supposed to use that in the winter. If you don't use that, your electric bill is going to be really high, and your house is not going to be very hot.
that's important to know.
So-
That is very important to know. Now, here's the thing. If you don't have geothermal heat, you do not want to install now geothermal heat in your house because the cost of it is so astronomical, right? You actually have a new system in place that's come out over the last few years.
Yes.
That is called a ductless or split system.
Yep.
Now, this is, in our opinion, the hottest and most efficient system that has come out with in the last 100 years probably.
Yep.
When it comes to heating and cooling, because you can have both systems in place, right? And it uses what to run it?
Electricity, that's it. Very,
Just electricity.
very clean system. Everything that uses electricity is a lot cleaner, right? No emissions. People like it. It's more efficient. It's no different than where the cars are going today. Everybody loves the electric going on, but it's not. It's a work in progress. You know, like we're not there quite yet, but these systems are so efficient now that it makes sense to get them. It just this is the way to go now.
Eric's become, I would say, almost an expert in split systems nowadays and the process of inspections with your team. He's so knowledgeable and informed on this that he's actually talking to the team all the time about this type of systems, what they look like, how they work. And it's important when we're talking about some meetings for the rest of the people out there to kind of learn more about this.
Well, yeah, I mean, it comes in hand with, you know, us working with the clients, and they go, well, I don't know, because, you know, this boiler's old, or this furnace is old, or whatever. You want to present what options they may have down the road, you know?
And that's what, like, you as an agent and us as home inspectors, you know, we kind of try to do the same thing, which is give all the information possible to potential buyers, you know. Sometimes they don't need to do that. If you buy the house on Monday, you don't have to go on Tuesday and get a new system put in. But if they do change that old system, this is something that they should really think about, because these are systems that been around for years in countries that
Europe.
don't have, you know, the Europeans use that for a very long time. Mexico uses it for a very long time.
And
If you look-
I think California might have been the first place to use it in the United States. It came from West Coast to East Coast. Am I right or am I wrong on that?
You're probably right, because California is one of the most expensive states in the United States. So it's if you look at the average American person, they will spend about 1.24% of their salary every day on electricity.
That's
right?
pretty interesting.
That's very low.
Right.
You know, you might think it's high,
Not
but
in
it's
my
not.
house.
It's if you compare that to the rest of the world, it's actually very low.
Interesting.
Right? You can have a country like France will be about 2.6%. Spain will be about 4 or 5%. You know, so Portugal, which is a small little country, will be about 8.5%.
Wow.
So these are facts that they had no choice but to be efficient. This country was lucky enough that until now we've been hurt with
Everything.
Everything's going up, right? So people are starting to think. Unfortunately, we have a lot of places that we can save money.
Right.
You know, no different than you go to a gas station and you're paying $5 a gallon or $4 a gallon now, but other countries are paying $12 a gallon.
Right.
But they only have 3-cylinder cars.
Right.
They don't have the room to get more efficient with it. So they got hurt a lot more than we did, because we have the 8-cylinder and we can go to a 4-cylinder.
We're going to go sidetracked over here because we've been going deep, but I want to go back into the split systems over here with you, because I know you're very knowledgeable in this category. You know, I can tell you that my parents in Florida, one of the things that they suffer from is a lack of good AC in their home. They've got these large homes, 20-foot ceilings, and they've got these air conditioning systems that do not suffice the amount of AC the home needs with the power and the energy being used. Most recently, my father went and got a split system in one bedroom, just so when we came to the house that we weren't complaining all the time, just 75% of the time when we're down there. But my point is,
Was that the room you slept in?
it was the room that we all slept in one room. We
Did
kind
you
of
tell them to buy one of those units?
well, we've been talking about it, you know. But he is very sensitive to us being comfortable to a point. And the thing of it is, he doesn't have the knowledge, or most people don't have the knowledge because they don't have a chance to learn much outside of what they learn from. So this is something for everybody out there who's watching and listening to the show, that if you have a home that is not getting good air quality, central air, heat that you need, this split system really is a major player for you out there to help you be efficient financially and efficient with air and heat, having both options.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the goals is cost savings, you know? What are you paying for oil over a winter? You
Yep.
know, or the life of, or for the year?
Right.
You know, depending on what you're, you know, like if they have a domestic system and their boiler's creating the hot water for the house too, you're using oil all year round. I think this is probably more applicable to the folks who are nearing the end of their furnace, they're nearing
Yes.
the end of their
Right.
water, their boilers, their stuff like that, and it's like, okay, well,
What do-
what's the next,
right,
what's the
what's
next technology
Best
that's
place
out
to put
there?
my money. Absolutely right.
Right, now, some folks, I can tell you, I've already had clients that I've presented these ideas to, and they don't like, because they said, I see them in the doctor's office, where they have that split system, they
Yeah.
have that wall-mounted AC. For some folks, it doesn't work. It's not, for some folks, it's not aesthetically pleasing, but, it's definitely going to be a savings.
Do you know, it's funny you say that. I think that people think first of all, what they're used to seeing in a wall and not used to seeing, right? So back in the day, the AC systems were in the middle of a wall. They were in the windows, not efficiently looking, not great looking. Very noisy, very loud. You almost don't even realize they're there. They're very sleek. They're very thin. They put them up on top where the wall space is not going to be taken away from. If you want to put pictures up or anything else, a mirror, whatever you want to call it, they're super quiet. They're efficient as far as economical goes, from what we're learning about over here, and they're run on electricity that is much less power being used than a blow dryer per se, because of what these systems are made from. And again, getting this from you guys and learning from you a lot, one of the biggest things is, how does someone know, more importantly, what kind of split system to use? How powerful do they need? If a ranch house versus a Cape Cod versus a colonial versus cathedral ceilings, right? I mean,
So yeah, there's so many elements to it that it's kind of hard to say, like, use this system, use that system, but within the heating, within the heat pump,
yep.
they're all great. These units that they have today, you can get a unit that runs 5 units inside, or you can get one that just runs one. You just
When you say
have to pick.
when you say get a system that runs 5 units, so
So
like 1 or
that's-
2 compressors outside.
Right. No, it's just like one compressor outside, and then you have 5 different units inside the house. You can have the wall mount. You can have 5 air handlers. You can have those the ones that you put in the ceiling.
Like a regular
They look
air
pretty
conditioner.
cool.
Like
Yeah,
an air
I
conditioner.
like those. And those don't need ductwork or anything. All the lines go to it. You don't have to put any ductwork. You don't have to destroy your whole house. A lot of people don't like how they look inside on the side of the house going up. But in my opinion, that's a minimal thing. That's something that we will get used to it.
I
Because
think-
we've seen it so many times.
I think that'll be a very common thing to know, a house that has this efficiency of air conditioning and heat.
I mean, look at it. I mean, you look at a house, let's say 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, you have a house that did not have an air system, either central air or a warm air system. Some houses, they're not outfitted for the ductwork.
Right.
So you had to go with a boiler. There's a water system, where there's water baseboards or radiators in the house. That's a thing of the past. You can remove those, or so you don't have to worry about water. You don't have to worry about any leaks or anything like that for radiators or
Right.
baseboards.
Right.
You're removing all of that. You have these wall-mounted units that you can spread out through that house. You can put one in each bedroom, one in the living room. You can have up to 10 in the house if you
And
wanted to.
there's so many things that you can eliminate by having this unit. Yeah, you have the looks that people might not like, and those looks you can actually hide them a lot. Like if you want to pay the money to have it inside the wall, why not? You can do that. You
Yeah.
can put those lines inside the wall. That's not a problem. But you can eliminate. Let's say you have an oil-fired furnace.
Right.
You can
Dave.
eliminate the oil-fired boiler in the house, right? You eliminate all the radiators. You eliminate all the water that goes around the house that could have a leak, that could put a lot of damage to the house.
But what if you just bought a Utica boiler a couple of years ago, Dave?
It's
I
not.
love my Utica boiler. I love
No,
it.
Utica's one of the top brands.
Right.
I'm an oil guy, and I believe Dave is too.
I love oil. I'm a big oil guy.
I love
also.
oil.
But the whole other bit about that, we love oil. The fact that your oil system has gone down, where you need a new system that has air conditioning
And
and heat.
let's not forget the chimney too. You don't need a
Absolute-
chimney for this.
No more chimney,
It's
that's a
clean
very good
energy.
point.
You don't need the maintenance. The maintenance.
But
is
you do
big.
lose it if you lose power.
You do lose it if
Unless
you lose
you
power.
have a generator outside,
You lose anything.
right? A generator outside. would
Or
be-
if you have panels. No.
You have to.
Actually, it's interesting you mentioned that.
You still lose power.
You lose power.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the panels, unless you put the batteries in the basement and you have your house
Right.
with
Yeah, we
backup
talked about
batteries,
that.
you
We
will
talked
not,
about that a couple weeks
Last
ago,
week,
right?
yeah. Last week
yeah.
with Tom Polsky from the ELC solar
Yes.
panel company. By the way, speaking of that, you just mentioned about solar panels. So in having a split system in your house, which is generating XYZ electricity, you now having solar panels in your house could eliminate your heating bill completely and
Right.
being more efficient with your heat, your air conditioning, and everything else.
You do need to get the system first and then get the solar panels.
Definitely wanna make
Because
sure-
if you get the solar panels off there, it's not gonna help you much.
Because the panels, they need to, when they put the panels in the house, the whole idea is they need to know how much machinery,
Right.
juicer coming through that house to know what kind of panels to use.
And if you do tell them, if you're about to get solar panels and you tell them your idea that's gonna come up and they're gonna go electric with all these things, they will take that in consideration and size it accordingly to how many panels you need and everything. For the-
What's involved in the installation of these split systems, if I can ask you? I know you kind of
So,
touched on it a little bit, but just
I
kind of.
did, and one of the things is like, most of our job is because people do it themselves. You know, when you get the doers, right?
Right.
That's why we're there. That like we're checking on people to make sure that it's done right. Like people do things, and sometimes even if it's not your job to do it, you still know how to do it.
Right.
You know, and that doesn't make it wrong.
Right.
These units, you can actually get the units that you install yourself. But obviously, if you go with an HVAC person, then is very knowledgeable about, excuse me, about these units, they can easily install it. You know, like you just have to most of them run on 20 amps.
So-
If you get a bigger unit, we'll
When you say
get a
20,
30 amp.
so 100 amp system, 200 amp system, what do you
It
need?
doesn't matter. You need
Really?
100. 100 will be good enough for
the
any
whole
house
house.
right now. Yep.
That's pretty amazing stuff right there. Good point.
And some of them, if you have a bigger house, you might need a 30 amp. But even at 30 amp doesn't mean that you're actually using the 30 amps. If it's above 32 degrees, you're barely using electricity. It's just amazing.
Now, you were talking about the cosmetics of it before, and I've seen where they had 2 or 3 of the heat pump or compressors on the outside.
Yep.
And then you have just like this myriad of lines running to all the different units upstairs, main level, even the basement.
Yep.
But they're not really big lines, and they're covered, and they usually paint them to match the color of the house. So unless you're really looking for it,
Yeah.
you're really not going to see it. It's not going to be that
So-
big an eyesore.
So I think it's growing on me, but I was not big on seeing those lines. And this multifamily house that I have, I was putting the system in, and I decided to put the unit outside, the heat pump unit. I put it outside in the middle of the house. So one of the pipes just goes right in, and the other one goes to the other floor, and you barely see it. So if that bothers you that much, you can do something about it. If it doesn't bother you, it's like you said, sometimes they do such a beautiful job. They put it inside a pipe, and
Yeah.
they painted the same color as the house.
Well, there are houses that
minor-
have
minor-
central air
Yeah.
that you see.
Yeah.
You see the line going
Yeah,
up,
if
and
it's-
sometimes, and if the air handler's in the attic,
Right.
Right.
it's
You'll
going
see it,
all the
yeah.
way up to the attic.
Yeah, you'll see that.
So-
If it's an older house and the AC was put in with a house that had a boiler or something, sometimes they go right to the attic is the easiest way to do it.
What's a good time of the year to install a split system?
Now.
Now is a good time.
Now is a good time. But it's really any time is good. I mean, if you need a new furnace or a new boiler, people got scared about electrical. When you say an electrical system, oh my God, I had electric heat,
Unless you push it right.
like
Eric?
Eric here.
Well, yeah, I
We were
mean,
talking about Eric, how he
Yeah.
has electric heat, and
Yeah.
electric heat can be very scary, right? You have
Very expensive.
like crazy bills, and
Unless you live in
it's-
Wallingford.
Yeah, even if you live in Wallingford, you still pay quite a bit. If you live in Wallingford and you have a heat pump, like we're talking about,
Right.
then it's even more amazing. So
Right.
why not have it? So electric heat scared a lot of people about electricity heat. So having heat with electricity. So with these new heat pumps are pretty awesome.
Let me just repeat what you said out there to make sure they understood. People were scared about electric heat because of the baseboard heat that's been
Right.
out there for the 100 years.
Right.
So these
so
new
it's like,
systems.
but it's like having 15 hair dryers running at the same time.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
wait.
it's a lot, you run a hair dryer and the coffee maker, and you're gonna trip a 10 amp breaker. So that's kind of like how much power they actually take.
And that's why when we go see a house and we do look at the panels sometimes, a house that requires electric heat like baseboards is a 200 amp house.
200 amps because
You cannot,
they took so
you cannot
much
do
heat.
it with 100 amps.
It's instant, and we get spoiled. Like, we want things now. Let's go, like, I want it now. When you have electric heat like you do, Eric can come home and the house will be freezing cold, and within half hour you'll have heat, no problem. The heat will be amazing, right?
If I have power.
With these new systems, if you have power, right? So with these new systems, you do have to be a little bit more patient, right? And that's where one of
The split system?
drawbacks is the patience that you have. to
You know,
have it.
so two things I'm going to say. My experience with people who have split systems is you feel the warm air instantly because you turn it on and you feel the warm air come right
Yeah.
out. And it's so quiet, you don't even know it's on until you actually feel it.
Right.
That's the part that also becomes more amazing with this technology is the way the power comes out and you don't even know it's on. And then you have the remote controls, you can shift the air which way you want it to go, and you can set it on timers, I think, as well. And
Right.
there's many different elements that are positive.
Yeah,
in
each
this
one of
whole
those units has a remote.
thing. Yeah, it's
So the cool thing about these units is you can have an air handler just like a normal furnace. Your air will come out through the same registers and everything. You just have to put an air handler in there with a unit outside. And that works all on electric. You don't need emergency heat because these newer units have, so they can go to like, most of them like 14 below zero,
Wow.
which is pretty awesome.
And still produce heat.
So unfortunately, in Connecticut, it does get that cold, right? So you need that.
yes.
So that can be used as a the main source of heat, right? If you have one of those old heat pumps from years ago, they were not inverters. So if you don't have an inverter, you can't go that low. Once you get to 32 degrees, you're only getting, you're actually wasting money because you're going to be $4 on a dollar. Every dollar you spend on electricity, you're gonna, every $4 you spend on electricity, you're only gonna get $1 back. That's efficiency, right? So you actually negative efficiency. That's how bad they get. But these newer ones, they run so efficient right now. Again, there's you can get one that runs 4 or 5. You can get one that has different sears. Like the way you size these units to the house,
Yep.
it's all about square footage.
Let me ask you a quick question. Is there any kind of house where you cannot use a split system?
No. You can use that on any house.
Condo.
I would say,
Well, condo's going to be difficult because I was just talking to somebody
Yeah.
about this because I'm looking at a condo in Waterbury with a client.
what do they have now?
And electric baseboards.
Okay, so,
But because it's a condo, the condo association would obviously have to allow
allow it.
the compressor or, the unit on the outside. Plus, they would have to allow the lines going up and into the unit.
Right.
But, I mean, it's an improvement,
Right.
and you're
Super.
going from baseboard heat, right, and no AC, because you have the
Right.
window units,
Yeah.
to you're going to warm air central air.
Right.
So not only is it an improvement in the quality of what you're getting, but resale side now.
Right.
You have a condo or a house that you're listing as warm air central air.
Right.
A lot of folks, they're looking for central air.
Yeah, today is a must-have. You can live without it. It's not like heat.
I
you
want
know,
to jump.
but
I want
it's
to
a
jump
must-have.
to one more subject that we talked about that's very important. The new hot water heaters they've come out with that are heat pump water heaters, and this is something many of you may or may not know what this is. I'm gonna guess the majority don't know because it's so new. And if you could just give us a little background on what this is exactly.
Well, this is a hot one, Dave. I mean, they are selling like hotcakes right now, and if you're not familiar with them, I recommend for you to go Google it, look at pictures, look at prices. Right now, they have an amazing rebate on these.
Heat pump hot water
Heat
heater.
pump hot water heater, right?
Now, I'm sorry.
Um,
Can anybody buy it with if gas, oil, any kind of house?
Anybody that has electricity in the house. I'm
Okay.
gonna put it that way.
All right.
So it doesn't matter what type of a heating system you have for your water, right? So this is for the water that goes to the shower, sinks and showers, and this is a pretty awesome heat pump that runs very efficient. And if you take you will need 30 amps, just like a regular hot water heater. You need the 30 amp because
Yep.
if you take a lot of showers, or if you, like my daughter, and takes 45-minute showers,
That
right?
does not, but wait, the one in college?
Yeah.
At least
So-
she's 8
yeah,
months a year over
so-
there. Okay, your water bill must
so
be.
that, yeah, it's, I got a raise. So it's kind of like, if you take a lot of showers, or if you take really long showers, you might need help with electricity, right?
Right.
But if two people at home taking showers, and, you give it time, you can actually set it just for heat pump only, and that's the most efficient way to heat up water, hands down.
So, question, so it's a heat pump, water heater.
Yes.
What's
Okay.
it look
And
like? I'm
Is
sorry.
it tankless, or is there a
No,
tank?
there's a tank, and the tank is part of it. Like, it's all one unit. It's pretty tall, and another awesome thing is that the heat pump is not outside; it's inside, and it's right on top of the tank. So you have a 40-gallon tank with a heat pump built in on top of the tank, and it actually uses. It could be used as a dehumidifier also.
Wow.
So think about this:
So
your
it's taking the
basement
humidity in the air.
is that
and
taking all the
creating heat
humidity in
from
the
it.
air, taking all the heat from your basement and putting it into the water where you need it. And those units are running for about $1,700 right now, but there's an immediately rebate that you can get, and they're not even $1,000 when you buy them.
Wow.
So in your opinion, are they better than the Navian?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because
The tankless hot water
Yeah,
system, Navian or
absolutely.
Navian,
So
whatever.
now, natural gas is pretty awesome. It's pretty efficient, and if you have a high efficiency furnace that's running on natural gas, that's a pretty way to do it. I mean, efficiency is there, right? So you're right around 97% efficiency
With what?
with the gas furnace, right?
The
Or even with the boiler, with the Navian that you're
Navian,
saying.
okay,
right?
gotcha.
But 97 is like when the guy's there tweaking it up, and then as soon as he's putting his
Right.
tools in the truck in your driveway, it's
It's down to
already down to
94.
94,
Yeah,
95, right? So with these, they are so efficient that if you take your time and don't just take one shower after another, give it time, and you just leave that setting on heat pump, let me tell you, you will save that money in no time.
Interesting.
Just-
And so,
And it's well worth it, even if you have a gas hot water heater. I usually don't like to say hot water heater because it is,
I
it
know,
just heats the
I know,
water,
it's
that's
like
it.
a toaster.
Right?
so with electric, with oil, and with gas, you can get a heat pump water heater.
Yes.
Very efficient, and it still looks like a water heater. You mentioned
Yeah,
that that's
it's
got
exactly like a hot water heater.
But
when
it
you
doesn't
look at
use
it.
gas.
No, it just uses electric,
It's electric.
electricity, and that 30 amp is there just in case you want to take crazy showers, like I said, like
So
when my daughter
it's
comes
not
home.
reliant on any fuel
Right.
source that you
right.
have
It doesn't matter.
for the house.
No.
It doesn't matter if you have gas or oil
don't-
or
you
whatever.
don't need a
because
chimney, you don't need
it's the
anything,
pump
just
that's
right
on
there,
top
yeah.
of the
Yeah.
tank
Yes.
that is creating the heat
Yes,
and
it
warming
works.
up the water.
It works the same way as the split systems that we're talking about. You take the heat from the inside of the house and put it out, and that's how you cool the air, right?
Yep.
And this one, it takes the heat from inside the basement, puts it into the water. So it's like it's just an awesome thing to have there, you know.
So today we talked about a few different things. We talked about geothermal heat that comes with a house that's been built, and they've been doing this since the 1900s. A great system that if you have one, love it, use it. But when the system goes down, you want to think about what to do next.
Right.
We talked about, nextly, we talked about the split systems over here, the mini splits. And if your heating system is going to be on the outs where the efficiency is not as high, and you want to get something that's going to be the next wave of efficiency, value, and amazing opportunity for heat and air. And by the way, you can put these systems anywhere in the country, right? It doesn't have to be the Northeast where you need the heat, because some in the South, they don't need heat at all.
No, plus
yeah.
you get some solar, if you already have solar or
Right.
you're planning on getting solar.
Right.
It just even decreases,
So in Connecticut, like you don't need to go very efficient with your air conditioning. Instead of getting a 20 SEER, you can get a 15 SEER. You know, you don't have to go very efficient because you don't get to use it a lot, unfortunately, right? But if you're down in Florida, now you're gonna pay attention to that SEER number, right? Because you want the SEER to be higher, so the air conditioning is gonna be a lot more efficient.
right. 'Cause
Even
you're not
though it's a
getting- you
heat
don't- you
pump.
don't need a lot of heat in
Even
Miami.
though it's a heat pump, you still need that. You still need to know the SEER
Yep.
number. You know, That's,
Jonathan, I'm not sure if you're watching out there for the Facebook fans and the Instagram fans, if anybody's been asking any kind of questions, comments at all. You know, a lot of comments. Any comments you want to shout out to us that people have been talking about?
I'd love to. We got Anthony Bratz saying heat pump. He was very excited about the heat pump.
Great guy, Anthony Bratz.
Very excited about the heat pump.
Cool.
And then we have somebody by the name of RAC Kelly 48 saying "My King" with a smiley face surrounded by hearts. So take from that what you will.
He's married, by the way.
Okay, maybe it wasn't the heat pump.
And we have with the heat, so the split systems.
It was a different kind of heat pump they were thinking of.
So split systems, and then we talked about at the end over here. We talked about the idea of a brand new hot water system that is called make sure I say it correctly, a heat pump hot water heater.
Hot water heater.
And that's
Home Depot has them. Lowe's has them. I know a lot of people, are not comfortable in buying a Home Depot, but you can go online and do your homework. But they're about $1,700-$1,800, and you get the rebate immediately, which is pretty awesome. Like, if you get
Take the time, learn as much as you can. Remember that you have an amazing inspection company over here by the Miranda Team. It's the Miranda Team Home Inspectors, an amazing company that we work with a lot. They're very knowledgeable. I'm sure they'd be willing to chat with you a little bit about this kind of
we
stuff.
learn everything with Eric here.
Just call Eric from now on. Any kind of questions you have on heating systems,
No, this
and
is-
air conditioning.
It's awesome. Like when you know a little bit about our job and we know about your job, it just
Do
becomes
you know
such
what
an
it is?
easy
We're
thing for
with
us.
you all the time. We're on the road. We're doing inspections. We're learning so much, and it becomes a
have to
part of
know
our
it, yeah.
lives. And it's important for us to share this information out with the people who are watching this show. All right, we are at the end of the show, as we always are, giving away a free tumbler out. Who is going to be the lucky winner there, Jonathan? Let's see that wheel spinning around because we can't see it. Davis Simpson, congratulations on winning a tumbler for you. Please be in
Cheers.
touch. We appreciate you guys watching us every week. We love having the ability to be a part of your lives every week. Please watch. Please share these shows with your friends and family. If you have questions, do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're always here for you. Thank you so much again. Team Powerhouse, the PowerCast. And please, next week, a very special show. Our own agents and newest superstars, Jamie Franco, is on the show. We have an amazing interview with her in her real estate career with us.
Right, and I promised to wear the same shirt for that one.
It's a beautiful color. She loved that shirt, that color, so she asked me, please wear that shirt.
Well, it was also because we pre-recorded it earlier. So.
All right, guys, we'll see you every week. Have a wonderful time. We'll talk to you soon.
Surprise.